guys, we're back. Roshfooco Watches and Things isolation special, and it is the Hamtun H2 Kraken, 1 month on my wrist. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope everybody's bearing up well in these crazy times. I'm going to use my time this evening to do a kind of fuller review on the Hamtun H2 Kraken. I've been wearing it whilst self-isolating for 1 month straight. Obviously I have done a video when I first got this watch. I will try, if I'm technologically capable enough, to stick in a card or a link or something. So if you want to go back and have a look at the specs and the kind of details of the Kickstarter campaign, etc., that's all on there. So I've been wearing this for 1 month straight on the bracelet, no changes, and here are a few of my thoughts. So first of all, I mean, the size is very nice. It wears very well because of that. It's a 41mm diameter, 48 lug to lug. So it fits really well, and because it's titanium as well, it's very light. I see that as a bonus because, you know, I mean, it's a dive watch. It's got pretty chunky dive watch specifications and dimensions, but because it's titanium, it's very, very light. I don't have my scales with me in this kind of strange isolation that I'm in, but it's very light, and it feels, you know, it feels really good to wear. It's titanium. It's got Hamtun's tough titanium, which is some sort of coating that they put on it to prevent it from scratching, making it very hard. And if we can try and have a closer look, you can see that it is incredibly well preserved. You know, I've been working from home for a month, been sitting at my desk for a month. There's no scratches on the clasp. Nothing that I can see, nothing discernible. I think there is one blemish somewhere, yeah, on that link there, you see. That's the only blemish for 1 month straight wearing this watch. So shout out to their tough titanium, because that really does work. That side of this watch is absolutely no arguments whatsoever. Of course, that makes this extremely durable, especially as titanium is a softer substance in its usual form than stainless steel. So no scratches after a month, no micro scratches or anything, super duper. It obviously does help that the case is pretty simple, you know, there's no polishing or kind of bevels or chamfers that can get scratched up. Everything's a kind of satin finish, which, you know, I mean, works well, the watch of this type, but also means that if it was to get knocked about, it's not going to show up as much anyway. Just for reference, I've got a 7-inch wrist and I took out 3 links of the bracelet and it fits pretty well. Bezel, grippy, no issues with that, very satisfying. .60 click unidirectional dive bezel, lines up pretty good, It's got a ball bearing mechanism, so not your kind of click spring standard affair. A more highly engineered bezel rotational system, which works really well. Because it is 60 click, obviously you're going to get a little bit of wobble, because there's that much kind of gap between the, I don't know, the teeth or the notches between each click. So it does wobble around a bit. I don't know if you can see, but it does feel a little kind of up and down. But there's once it's in place, once it clicks over, there's zero black paint. So if it does feel a little up and down, a little bit wobbly, it's, you know, it's fit for purpose. It does what it's supposed to do, which is good. Lume is fantastic. Strong glow, long lasting BGW9. Should we just have a quick shot? Not that it makes any difference, but yeah, there it is. I mean, that will last a long time as well. No problems. Luminescence, very, very good. Dial. Finish well. Kind of a flat, matte white in this case. There are obviously different colour options you can get. The double step down date window is a nice little touch. The blue accents on the lollipop, on the Kraken text on the dial. I like that as well. The handset, insofar as the length of the minute hand, which is reaching out right to that kind of rehort, as is the second hand. Good distinction in length between the hour and minute hands, so that's very good as well. I actually quite like the way that the text is set out as well. It mirrors this kind of almost diamond shape with the text below the 12 and above the 6, so kind of design wise that's pretty well done as well. One thing that I hadn't actually noticed initially, and it was whilst kind of looking at some of the comments that people have made online, and now that you mention it, you can't really not see it, and that is the matte black outlining of the hands, but the glossy, polished, kind of grey metallic outlining of the indexes. So, I mean, it doesn't bother me really, but once you see it, you can't really not see it, you know. And as we know, people in the watch world have got little peculiar OCDs about stuff like this. So if that's something that's going to get up your nose, then obviously think about that before any sort of purchase. The crown. Screw down. Signed with the Hamtun logo, as you can see. I find this pretty fiddly, I have to say. Obviously, hacky movement there. I mean, yes, it is quite fiddly to deal with your fingers. I don't have particularly big hands, so. But it is the screw down. You have to kind of wheel it right back to then kind of struggle to get it back in. You do need, I mean, it's got better since I first had it. I kind of think that you do need some sort of special techers to do that, or you might strip the crown threads. All I can say is it's not ideal, and I don't particularly trust it. The bracelet, solid links, pretty comfortable. It's obviously very light, it's fully titanium. Solid end links, screw fittings, that's good. Be careful on this bracelet as well as other bracelets as well. When you first get it, these screws are they're pretty loose, you know. A couple of times I looked down and one of the screw heads was sticking out from the case, from the bracelet, sorry, a few mil. So be careful with that. Might need to get a bit of Loctite on that just to make sure that it's they stay in place. Although, you know, after the first week or so of wearing, it seems to settle down to be okay. There is a that end link is solid as a rock, and this end link is not. So yeah, it's only a little thing, but if you can do it one side, you should be able to do it the other side as well. So that's one thing that is not particularly special. Male or sticky out first mid links there of the end link, and while it doesn't really affect the wear of it on wrist, what it does do is it means that you can see those ugly unfinished inside part of the links when it sits on my wrist. So whereas it doesn't affect the wear really, it just affects the aesthetics of it. That's pretty ugly, to be honest. And the clasp itself is junk. The clasp is absolute junk, and the case back's upside down as well. Inside here, the movement is a Sellita SW200-1, elaborate grade. I believe is that plus or minus 7 seconds a day? Something like that, you'll have to look it up. I will try and stick in a screenshot from my phone. I've been checking this on an app for a month, and this is running plus 4 seconds a day consistently. You know, there's a little bit of, I think the worst it's done in a day is plus 8.5 seconds. And it's gone down once to minus 0.7 seconds or something, but it's kind of consistently stayed within kind of 1.5 and 5.5 seconds a day for a month. So shout out to the Sellita. It's obviously a good movement. It's obviously been manufactured well, and it's been taken care of during the manufacturing process and installation into the watch too. Oh yeah, just as an aside, it did come with this extra rubber strap as well, which it's a strange choice really, with a deployant buckle on it again. Give us a nicer frame of a tang, I reckon. Value wise, I paid £329 for this one shipped. I got in on the early Kickstarter last year, so fantastic value. Swiss movement titanium case with a protective coating on it, ball bearing bezel, good lume. Can't argue with the value at all. Yes, there's a couple of little niggles in it, and I'm not sure the owner of Hamtun Watches is working on a particularly large profit margin, which we'll talk about in a second, but on the face of it, for me, £329, great value. So last thing, and possibly most important, I reckon, Hamtun Watches, the company. Yes, it's a micro brand. It's effectively it's a one-man band. Russ, who's the owner, does everything himself. Obviously, he outsources manufacture to the Far East, but he's a one-man band. And initially, there were really good kind of personal communications with Ross. I'd send him an email, he'd send me one back. You know, we chatted about football. Really, really nice initially, you know, but the problem with a one-man band is any issues have got a huge effect, haven't they? Because everything goes through the same person. You can't kind of delegate stuff to different people. There's no departmentalization of anything. Everything goes through the same person. And yes, I think Ross has had a particularly hard time with the manufacture and distribution of the H2. Is it biting off more than you can chew? Possibly. You know, there's a whole list of things that I won't get into here, but you know, the H2 blew up. I think it just massively had more demand than anyone, especially Ross was kind of expecting and went above his capacity to fulfill what the project was supposed to do. Because of the huge volume of people involved in this project, the communications went from fantastic to terrible. If you go onto the What You Seek forum, there's 82 pages on the H2, and lots of them are about how the communication system just broke down to nothing, you know. I mean, how are you supposed to contact Ross? It wasn't replying to emails, social media wasn't working. You've got a Kickstarter platform, you've got an Indiegogo platform, you set up this different platform as well to use, but that doesn't seem like it's taken off at all. Lots of people have tried to contact him, lots of people have got no replies as well, which you know, we'll touch on and again in a few seconds. The shipping process was awful, no tracking. You know, I mean, what are you doing? Sending out watches that are worth £200, £300, £400 for the meteorite dial versions. No tracking, and they just turn up in the pouch as kind of, you know, as useful as it is. It's not protective for shipping in through the postal system. In fact, there are still people waiting for their watches. Yeah, you're right. It's April the 18th, 2020. There's people still waiting for their watches to be delivered, and they put their money down in the first half of 2019. That's outrageous, and especially because in 3 days' time, Hamtun is launching the H3, the next version of this Kraken watch, different colours. There's going to be a GMT version as well. I think there's a change in movement. So you're starting on a whole new extension of your business, and you still haven't fulfilled the orders from your last project. You know, yes, the H3 shipping seems to have gone up from a flat £10 to a flat £25. So hopefully that's better. Hopefully that's going to involve tracking, which, you know, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? You've got to have tracking. Yes, it goes through Kickstarter. Yes, Kickstarter is not a shop front. You know, you're not buying made products from a shop. But we are investors. We're investing in the company, we're investing in a product, we're investing in the person. And if you're investing in people, in any sort of relationships, coexistence, cooperation, the most important thing is communications. That has got to be better. Some people that you've been reading about on forums, you know, they're just like, nah, I'm washing my hands of this, I'm not having anything to do with this anymore. And I can understand that. That's really not very good. What else? The clasp is junk. There was a stretch goal to include a ratcheting titanium clasp. That is unfulfilled as per today. It would seem that one of the previous versions, or a Hamtun Nanok, I think it's called, they're still waiting on an upgraded clasp as well. So again, things that have not been signed off, have not been finished from previous campaigns, are still kind of wafting around needing to be fulfilled when, you know, there's a new product being brought out and new things. Again, it doesn't feed into good communication. It doesn't feed into trustworthiness. It doesn't feed into whether you want to invest in this product. The warranty as well. Yeah, I think there's a 2-year warranty on these watches, but there's no warranty card that was sent out. There's supposed to be the setting up of an online system where your reference number, your caseback number, is your kind of way into any communication regarding warranty claims, but that's not up and running at the moment. And if you're not replying to emails, if people don't know how to contact you, what happens if you have a defective model? You know, when I first came across that crown, I was like, I might have to take this thing back because it's really, really bad. But what could you do? There was no systems, there's no platform, there's no way for solid communication to do this. So yeah, it's a really good value watch. It's got lots and lots of positives. You know, we all like to buy watches. We all like to buy watches in this price point that've got good specifications, that've got a Swiss movement. But, you know, would you go down that same pathway again? I'm not really sure about that. Anyway, it is the Hamtun H2 Kraken. I've had it on my wrist for a month. Now I can put on a new watch, which is nice. It's roshfooco in the isolation scenario. And I'm out.
Yeah!